Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, the Ice Dragon, Rayron VR. Today we got another manga spotlight video. This is Blue Period, Volume 7. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the back. We've got Kodansha Comics, rated OT for ages 16 plus. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. Alright, so Tokyo University of Arts is now Yotora's campus, where each new encounter with colleagues, professors, and assignments challenges everything he's ever known. Self-doubt and life hardships still lurk around every corner, but running into an old friend may just turn things around. So, kind of non-spoiler review. Volume 7 I really liked because there was a lot of similarities between my personal experiences and going through life and what I read through here in Volume 7. Overall, it was a great continuation. We're into a brand new arc with Yotora. Volumes 1 through 6 was the examination arcs, and now we're entering, the exams are over. Now we're into the first year of college. So with that, very noticeable difference. And that was the general theme of Volume 7, that as we kind of go through this particular story is that you gotta leave the exams behind. Don't want to get too much into the spoilers, but that's my overall assessment. I did really enjoy this, and just because there's a lot of good life lessons when it comes to this particular volume, that there is a difference between, high school and going into a higher education level, and there's a lot of similarities that I feel going through this. So with that, it's time to get into spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, feel free to watch this video at a later time. So with that, Yutora goes into the entrance ceremony, which was quite interesting. You had the main head professor there, generous old man, just talking very quiet, and then out of the blue, he takes his shirt off and then just paints a symbol of the class, or class symbol essentially, on this giant painting board, and they give you pretty much a symbol of what the class is going to be. And so, kind of a weird introduction, but again, it's designed for this particular school, the Tula Academy, that it's going to be anything but ordinary. It's going to really, these instructors are going to instruct in a way that gets the students to think outside the box. So with that, Yatura basically goes into the first assignment, which is basically introductions. They had to present their old paintings to their rest of the students and the rest of the class, and figure out exactly, what do they want to do. And so we also get introduced to our new instructors. They kind of remind me something from like Hell's Kitchen, that you got the pretty faced one, you've got the really strict one, and then you just got one that is kind of neutral on things. Kind of reminds me, like I said, of like American Idol type of judges. So you get the fearsome three a little bit. But as we continue to go through, we go through the introductions with the class, and there's a general theme with all the students there when it comes to introductions. Each one of them, they weren't really first year entrance exams. All the other ones usually failed a couple times, and then they honed in their skills. Something that definitely shined throughout this volume, that these students had practice and was able to shape their skills into what they want to become. When you become a direct entry first year try, you don't necessarily have those shaped out for those life goals. And with Yotora's presentation, it definitely lacks experience. And this kind of haunts him a little bit, because it's like, the instructors ask him, well, what are your paintings? What is your style? And he struggles with it. He struggles with it because, he was always just practicing, and, by miracle, he was able to get in on the first shot. but that's going to kind of hinder him a little bit. So now he really has to catch up because all the other students have some sort of advantage because they've taken these exams over and over again. So we find our main character, struggling, trying to figure out what he needs to do. On the back here says, it sucks. I have no clue what to do. And it's like, it's a big step forward, giant leap for him because now you're getting essentially into the big leagues. And then you get this general theme that, the first basically assignment for them is that they've got to reimagine their first, oh, not sorry, first, it's the first test exam of a self-portrait, but they got to do it in a way that is not the exam piece. So we'll go ahead and take a look at here. And we got one of our, mean looking instructors here. And basically they state exam pieces are not proper pieces. So the first assignment for freshman oil painting concentration is a self-portrait. But you got to do it in a way that is not in the similar fashion of the first exam. And I like this statement a lot because this correlates to me because going into college, we always have this expectation that you got to take the ACT, you got to take the SAT tests in order to get into a particular school. You got to have high ACT, SAT scores. And then, you have your GPAs that come from out of high school. Well, in order to get into these colleges, you got to have, X amount of score. And we always try to train towards those tests. We try to train to get into a high GPA. But then all of that kind of goes out the window when you go into college, when you go into these high advanced degree education centers. It becomes a whole different animal. And it was basically a huge reality check for Yotora. So as he continues to figure out what he's going to do for his first painting when it comes to this reimagination of a self-portrait, he has to figure out how he's going to do it. That's not the same because, he was always training to, pass the exam. And that's how he was just training and how he does his art. So now he's got to think from a different perspective. And so he was able to figure out how to do his self-portrait. However, his presentation of it kind of fell apart. And so the one thing I didn't like about this is that first presentation of his, academy project, we kind of don't see the final presentation, and we don't get to see what the instructors thought about Yutora's artwork. It was kind of the first time, I think, in this series that we see that, we don't get the final project. And to be honest, it kind of leaves as a cliffhanger into, did he pass, did he not pass? But at the end of it, the instructors basically say that yeah, good job, you all passed. But it's like, I wanted the reaction of them with Yutora's artwork when it was all fixed, because he basically had a layered portrait of himself, but unfortunately the tape didn't hold, and then the pieces started to fall apart because of the heat that was going on with the portrait. But we didn't get any closure from that. It was a cheap kind of general outing with the instructors is basically saying, okay, you all passed, let's go on to the next assignment. It's like, really? I wanted to know a little bit more about that. And it also felt like it was like the first failure to Yutora's artwork, but he still passed. But again, kind of a nitpick. We didn't get more of a story when it comes to, okay, well, did he do good? Did he not do good? I don't know. It was kind of weird. And so they received their next assignment, which was the scenery of Tokyo. They got to do some sort of painting work, but they got to do it in a different way that I can't remember the exact terminology. Let's see if I can find it here. But they got to take the landscape of Tokyo, and they got to use a certain technique. Yeah, I can't quite remember the term. But anyways, and again, it's something that a few other students haven't really used either. But as we continue on through the story, we can see that Yutora is definitely struggling. He's definitely not used to this high level type of painting. And so he seeks out advice from friends, his drinking buddies, his soccer buddies, and so forth. And they just continue to give him the encouragement that he needs to move forward. And we start to see something interesting near the end of this, and I'm hoping that it doesn't become a two plot issue, but we start to see the development of a new friend that Yatora met, which was Mickey, if I understand if that's the correct name. But Mickey was the one that caused um, his mirror to break when they were doing the first examination into Tua. And so they start developing this friendship, and Mickey provides a book on a particular technique of oil painting that helps him out. And they start to grow in familiarity and so forth. And then Yatora runs into Kuovan, which was one of his friends at the prep school who didn't get accepted, but again provides helpful support to Yatura. And yeah, and that's pretty much how this volume ends. So with that, overall this volume was good. It's like we're starting all over again. We're done with the entrance exams. We're on to this new arc that he is at the academy level. I could definitely relate to this story because the general theme of this entire volume was that your pieces are not exam pieces. You're always painting and creating towards the exams. Now you have to broaden your horizons a little bit, that you cannot do that anymore. We want you to actually be a creative artist, essentially. So but overall, I really enjoyed it. Again, there's still some things in here that I will nitpick to death, which is definitely the drawings of the people. I got really distracted when a lot of these particular characters started to look like one another. Again, this particular manga I struggle with because the drawings and illustrations don't match the names, and sometimes the illustrations bleed over to another character that I know already from the past. So I get the names mixed up even worse than other mangas, because other mangas have more detailed characters and defined, diverse definitions of the characters. But this one, the characters just feel so blended, and you can tell that the artist has a common way of drawing human faces, especially when it comes to male, female, and just sometimes that just blurs all together. So again, it was definitely distracting getting through this volume, but again, when it comes to the story was spot on, and it's the only reason why I continue to read this, because um, it's just really good when it comes to the writing, to the way it portrays a particular point, and life lessons. This one's really good on life lessons, not just on the painting front, but being able to apply this to pretty much anything in life, especially in the academic world. Great examples of just being able to make comparisons, especially for me, like I said, especially when I was reading that one particular bookmark that said self-portrait is not, don't paint towards the exams, paint in a way that's going to be unique and defines you into the goals that you want to do. And I mean, that just describes the ACT and SATs in a nutshell. So, but yeah, very, very good volume. Can't wait for the next one. But with that, that is volume 7 of Blue Period. Thank you guys so much for listening on this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any manga suggestions, feel free to leave it down below. Feel free to support my work on rayronvr.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you on the next video.